Alright, so these are going to be your notes for trig ratios, which is going to be one of the most important things that you learn in Math 2, and you're going to use it forever, so hopefully you are taking notes along with me. So at the top of your paper, under trig ratios, I need you to write so, ka, toa, and I'm not messing with you, this is a real math thing. Whatever you can do to remember it, so, ka, toa, super important, gotta remember it for this unit. So I'm going to break it down into what each one stands for. So my first one, right here, the S stands for sine, and we abbreviate it S-I-N, that's not sin, it's sine. And we say that sine is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay, so that's where the O and the H come from. So just like we were talking about the other day when you had a right triangle, if this was the angle, then this would be the hypotenuse, obviously. And then the one right over here would be the opposite. So this is what we're talking about, the opposite and the hypotenuse. This would be the A. So I hope you're getting a little curious about what's going up here, what is going on up here with the A at the top. So my next one is going to be CAH, and it stands for cosine, and we abbreviate that COS, cosine, equals the adjacent, which is the A, over the hypotenuse. Okay, so that's where the A and the H are coming in. And then our last one, if you know anything about trig, you should know that this is going to be tangent, and we abbreviate it tan, because mathematicians are kind of lazy, and that would be opposite over adjacent. Okay, and the reason that we call these ratios is because all of them are fractions. So ratios is just another word for fraction, and all of these that you have right here are fractions. So I hope that you've realized that. And these are the three that we're going to use: sine, cosine, and tangent. And we're just going to talk a little bit more about that down here. So the other thing we need to talk about is just labeling triangles. So when you have a triangle, if we're talking about an angle, that's going to be an uppercase letter. Always. So A, B, C, pretty standard. We all know what uppercase letters are. And if we were talking about a side, it would be a lowercase letter. Okay, so then it'd be A, B, and then I know my C's kind of look like uppercase and lowercase no matter what, but hopefully when it's in typing you'll be able to tell that this is going to be a lowercase. So the reason that we care about that is, let's say I gave you some random triangle and I was like, all right, A equals 60, B equals, let's go 30, and C equals 90. 30, 60, 90 looks kind of familiar. So let's say C would be maybe 10, and then the one across from 30 would be your short leg, so hopefully you remember that. So the B would have to be 5, and then the long leg would be A root 3, just to relate what we already did. So we could give you this and not tell you anything else, not tell you which ones are angles necessarily, but you would know that this is the triangle I'm talking about. So you would know that this is C, because it's across from 90. Either one of these could be 60, but let's call this one 60 and this one 30. So this would be A, this would be B, and then you would already know that this is going to be 5, because this is side B. And then you would know that this is going to be 10, because this is side C. And you would know that this is going to be 5 root 3, because this is side A. So the only reason that we do that is so that we could give you this and you could draw the triangle without knowing necessarily what it looks like, just knowing that A is across from A, B is across from B, and C is across from C. Just something that you need to know going forward with our examples. So if you missed anything, go ahead and go back and look at the rest of my notes, but we're going to move on to some practice problems now. So you're going to have to write these down. I'm sorry, but it'll be okay. So this one says, find the value of the trig function indicated. So now this thing might be a little bit new for you. I think we talked about it in other units, but this is a theta. And this is just the variable that we use for angles. Like instead of x, we use x a lot in other things. So now we just use theta for angles. Don't ask me why, just something kind of weird. So that means we're looking at this angle. So let's go ahead and label O, H, and A, because why not? So this is going to be our hypotenuse. This one is our opposite. And this one is our adjacent. And I'm going to write SOHCAHTOA at the top so that I don't forget. Telling you right at the top of all of your papers from now on. So I want sine. So that means that I want the opposite over the hypotenuse. So I'm looking up here at O over H. So that means for this one, I'm just going to write 9 over 15. And I hope that answer really bothers you because it really bothers me. So we're going to reduce that. Okay, 9 divided by 3 is 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And this would be your answer. Okay? You would just get 3 over 5 because we're just going to get a ratio for that one. So sine of theta O over H. All right, let's move on and try another one. Okay, so now we're looking at tangent. So look over here. If you forgot, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we're going to label this one again. This is our hypotenuse. Now we're looking at this angle. So it's very similar triangle, but now I'm looking at this angle. So this is my opposite, and this is my adjacent, because this would be opposite that. So my opposite is 12 over my adjacent, which is 9. Again, that should bother you a lot. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And you get to call that your final answer. Okay? All right, if you are doing this with me, I would love it if you would pause right now and do 3 and 4 on your own. Give them a try. Make sure you have reduced answers. And then press play again when you're ready to see the answer. So, for number 3, you're doing tangent again. You're not forgetting your SOHCAHTOA. So that is O over A. So I'm going to label my triangle like I always do. So this is the hypotenuse. This is opposite. This is adjacent. So my opposite is 20. My adjacent is 15. 20 divided by 5 is 4. And 15 divided by 5 is 3. So we get 4/3. Happens to be the same answer. Sorry about that. Okay. Then for 4, we are going to use sine, which is O over H. Okay, we're going to have to do the labeling again right here. So this is my hypotenuse, and this is going to be my O, opposite, and adjacent. So my O is 5, my hypotenuse is 13, and I can't reduce those, so I get to just say 5 over 13. So remember, always reduce your answers, please. I never want you to have an answer that's 2 over 4 when you could write 1/2. Please make sure that you are fixing those. It'll drive me a little crazy. All right, so moving on. So these ones, they gave you the triangle, which is super nice, but sometimes we won't give you the triangle. We'll make you draw it on your own, which is why we practiced that a few minutes ago.